Good afternoon. This is case study 1 for SMU Data Science 6306. So we're here having a meeting with executives to better understand the beer and brewery landscape. We are basically trying to examine this to understand, is there a potential audience for new brewery, or is there a particular brand that might work better in a certain area? Any questions and whatnot that we can answer to make the business more successful. The data set that we were given was first a beer data set, which had the name of the beer, the alcohol, the bitterness, the style, and also a unique brewery ID, which we were using to correlate to a second data set, which was the brewery data set, which had, of course, that unique identifier, the name of the brewery, and the city and state which it's located. Additionally, later on, we'll be looking at 2008 census population data. And this is very quickly just a snapshot of that combined data set for deeper analysis. One interesting point that we noted, while the alcohol by volume was less than 3% missing values, the bitterness had over 40% of its values missing. So we want to be cautious for analysis as we go forward. South Dakota had 0 available data for bitterness. This is a look here at the number of breweries per state. The larger the circle, the more breweries. We have the top 5 and the bottom 4. The reason for the bottom 4 is these states had only 1 brewery for the entire state. So we can see the lowest were DC, South Dakota, North Dakota, and West Virginia. This is a look at the median now, not the raw, but the median alcohol and bitterness by state. In the chart that we have here, we're going from lowest to highest in terms of the bar size for alcohol volume, and then the depth of color is the bitterness. Darker is more bitter, and quickly summarize the top 5 and bottom 5. This is the alcohol landscape across all of the beverages, and we have the highest beer here, which was Lee Hills Volume 5. No bitterness was available for this. And then, of course, the high or most bitter beer. Now, we're looking at here is a potential correlation or evidence of a correlation between bitterness and alcohol content. What we have here is the appearance of a moderate correlation. Again, want to caution you, over 40% of the bitterness data is missing. But what this means is with the R squared is that an estimated 45% of the bitterness of a particular beer can be accounted for by its alcohol content. So now quickly we're revisiting the median alcohol and bitterness. What we notice here is West Virginia. It is in the top 5 for median alcohol content, but also in the top 5 for highest bitterness. Assuming that people prefer lower bitter beer, this might be an opportunity to find something else. So we got additional data for census because if we're looking at the breweries and whatnot, the total people per state is a factor to consider. This is just a quick side-by-side, but more useful perhaps is doing another correlation between the number of breweries and the population. Here we appear to have a moderate correlation of 62% between the number of breweries per state and the population, which makes sense. However, there's other factors that we might want to consider as well, such as unemployment, income and wealth, culture and values, Utah being a good example from the prior chart. So, looking at a map, by the way, of the United States, the most popular type of beer is American IPA, and what we notice is that West Virginia does not have an American IPA natively made in its brewery. So, with that, seems like a good potential. This is a look at the brewery that is in West Virginia, which is they have 2. They have a pale ale and a Mothman Black IPA, but they do not have an American IPA. And again, they were in the top 5 for alcohol content and bitterness as well. So this might be a good opportunity to have a lower bitter American IPA natively made here in the state. All right, with that, that's the end of the conclusion of the presentation. But now I want to show some additional stuff too at the behest of Dr. Sadler. What I use for the mapping and whatnot is PowerBI. So what PowerBI allows you to do is to take these dashboards and charts and whatnot that you have and now do interactive drill down with them. So let's go here and completely unfilter everything that we have. And I'll just quickly do an explanation here. It's going to take a second because it's a large data set. This is a map of the United States. The density means the number of breweries in a particular state. So the darker, the more breweries. This is just a table showing some information on a particular beer, its style, its alcohol, and its date. And by the way, there's no bitterness here. With 1,000 values missing, it really messes up the visualization. So definitely point in fact. You can certainly eliminate them in real time, but to have 40% of your data constantly recalculating and eliminating would really slow it down. This is an interesting one here. So this is a stacked bar chart organized by state. The total bar height is the alcohol by volume, and then it's sectioned off into the size, whether it's an 8 ounce, 12 ounce, 16 ounce, and so on. So what we can do here, what I did for West Virginia, for instance, if I click on American IPA, it's going to go into the map, and let me zoom in a little bit. It has to zoom out to get Alaska, but I think for this exercise, sorry Alaska and sorry Hawaii, you're out. So you see that it changes the shading, and California and Colorado have obviously a lot of IPAs there, but West Virginia and Arkansas both have none. And again, the charts all filter down specifically, so we can see these are all the IPAs filter down, where previously it had every set. And then, the different chart here, so ounces by style, it's just going to filter down to that. This is all organized by style, so maybe this isn't as interesting on a filter, but if you look here, now we can start looking at, this is the alcohol by volume filtered for just American IPAs. So kind of interesting now if you want to look and see how that compares to the total landscape. So again, I have to click off of it, unfilter it, and then the visualizations will adjust in real time. All right, so that's it. That's the presentation. Hope you found it useful.